right, folks, welcome into That Betting Show, Friday, January 4th. It is a football Friday here on the channels at sportsbookreview.com. Our goal today to be that one-stop betting shop for all the information that you need over the weekend and today to get you ready to go. And in case you haven't watched the show yet, folks, give us a follow there on Twitter at SBR Sports Picks. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Every time me and Teddy go live on That Betting Show right here, you'll get that notification and update to pop in and get the information that you need. And also give a look to SBRodds.com. Whenever those lines are changing, that's exactly where you want to be caught up to be. Teddy, it's Friday. How are we doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Really looking forward to a loaded show. Let's get right into it.
Yep, football ready to go. He's Teddy Savransky. Give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I am Donnie Seymour, Donnie Rightside. And give me a follow on Twitter if you wish at RightSideVP. Let's get right into it. Hot topics of the day, Teddy. Not often that we're going to be able to go over women's college basketball. Whenever something noted happens, we're going to talk about it there. Baylor gets the upset over UConn. Teddy, can you believe it? 126 straight regular season games finally comes to an end. There's actually some opposition for UConn, Teddy?
No, there isn't. But let's start with this. We're a sports betting show. Okay, UConn lost first time 126 games. Who gives a shit? That being
Teddy,
said,
this is the new Me Too movement out here, Teddy. It's a Me Too movement. We have to give equal time to women's programs here. We're doing them a disservice, not talking about them.
We're not betting on them. Therefore, we're not talking about them. When, at Final Four, women's hoops, people bet it all the time. Regular season women's hoops, is there a marketplace for that? I haven't seen it. I haven't bet it.
50-point lines, Teddy? Get ahead of these lines. Some of these are 40, 50-point lines, Teddy, we can get ahead of, or at least make them up on our own.
Sure. I mean, again, you see it for the women's tournament in March. At this stage of the season, UConn losing, what'd they shoot? Less than 30% from the floor. They were due for a bad game. They played a good team. They lost. It happens. Happens even to the best.
People, don't get it twisted out there, people. Teddy was watching this game over all the other elements last night. It's why we included it here in the rundown here. Let's get to some NBA action last night, Teddy. A couple things going around the association. The one that we were talking about a lot were the Rockets getting 8.5 points as they entered into Golden State. Down 20 early. They said, you know what? Looks like this ticket might be a little bit to cash, but not so fast, my friend. In the NBA, teams make runs. The Rockets made a run, pulled off the upset at Golden State. Steph Curry comes out and says, you can't lose 20-point leads at home if you want to win championships.
And he's right. That being said, back-to-back games at home, the Warriors have lost on impossible buzzer-beating three-pointers. Sometimes in football, somebody just makes a play and catches it. What are you going to do? In basketball, sometimes somebody makes a shot. Harden was as well defended as you can be on the final possession. He's a great player. He had an impossible shot. Warriors lose. This is not the end of the Warriors' dominant run. Remember, they still haven't played a game with DeMarcus Cousins yet this season. Golden State's just fine. We'll give Harden credit. Remarkable ball game. He's on fire right now. And certainly when it comes to the way he's being refereed these days, you can't touch him, and that means you can't defend him. If you touch him, you go to the free throw line. And if you don't, he hits a shot. He's as difficult a player as there is to defend in the league, and the Warriors found that out the hard way last night with another third straight home loss for Golden State. Don't panic. The Warriors will be just fine.
Yeah, James Harden's stat line, 44, 15, and 10. Another amazing one there, Teddy. We always like to rail in the NFL because it seems like their referees, or at least to the eye, get it wrong more than any other sport. It's just what the perception is out there. Last night, Kevin Durant ran out of bounds a good 4 to 5 steps, then tossed the ball back in with both feet out of bounds for a 2-point play for the Golden State Warriors to take the lead late. Now, probably not going to factor into the overall, grand scheme of things if you were betting the basketball game other than money line wise. But how can referees let that one go and be unscathed? I made a joke this morning saying because nobody on the East Coast even saw the game to begin with since it finished up so late on the West Coast out there. Teddy, your thoughts on the NBA refereeing, and should we put them on the hot burner here?
Look, it doesn't matter what sport you're going to talk about. Baseball, they're complaining balls and strikes. Now you have replay, and replay gets it wrong. Football, you have, do the refs take over the game or don't they? What's this call? How'd they miss that call? Same thing in hoops. Referees are human. They will not see everything. They will make mistakes. Just like you, just like me, to expect perfection is not real. What I like about the concept of instant replay is that it allows refs to go back and get things right. The NBA uses that at the end of ball games. They don't use it when it comes to foul calls and stuff like this. I don't know why. It's the keep the game flowing, I guess, is the best the thought behind it. But bottom line, NBA refs, they're okay. You know, they're going to do what they do. And it's our job as handicappers to not get freaked out when calls don't go our way. Come back and fight another battle the next day.
Teddy, let's head down to Texas last night. A reunion homecoming of sorts there for Kawhi Leonard coming in from Toronto to play his good old pals there in San Antonio. And they put the welcome mat out for him, Teddy, then pulled it right out from under him. Easy winner for the San Antonio Spurs. Wasn't close from the beginning. I believe a 20-point first quarter lead at one point. Is this one that says, you know what, Pop says, because you called it yesterday on the show, Pop's got a little bit of something here and knows exactly what Kawhi likes to do and not do. Kawhi Leonard, one of the worst games he played plus-minus-wise in his NBA history. Any coincidence, Teddy, that it happened versus the Spurs?
I don't think it's a coincidence at all. And this is one, you know, I don't watch a lot of pregame introductions in the NBA necessarily. This is one I watched from the get-go. And, of course, you saw the great tribute to Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, guys, championship winners in San Antonio. And, of course, when the players were introduced, Green got a thunderous applause, and Kawhi got a resounding torrent of boos. And I think it affected him. I legitimately think it affected him. Kawhi Leonard was not ready to play from the opening tip last night. The Raptors as a team were not ready to play. It was 34-11 when I said this game's over, and it was. There was no run for Toronto. NBA's a game of runs. There was no run for the Raptors last night. Spurs are playing great basketball, and Kawhi Leonard did not have his A game. I understand it. A very emotional situation. He's a human being just like we are. He didn't play well. The Raptors needed to play well. Blowout for the Spurs. Easy winner if you had San Antonio and or the over in that ball game.
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan coming back there and having a pretty good basketball game there with a triple-double, Teddy. But here's what it is. It's a Friday show. It's a football Friday, as we said here on the channels at sportsbookreview.com. We're going to get right into some NFL action. 4 big wild card games on tab this week. First one we're going to start off with, Teddy. The Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans currently sitting right now. Houston favored slightly by a point at certain outlets, maybe a point and a half, depending on where you're shopping at. 48.5 as a total. Money line plus 100, minus 120. Expecting a close game. A little bit of tidbit here early. We talked about it all week long. Very important for that secondary to get healthy for the Houston Texans. Getting a little bit back for that infantry back there, Teddy, as we get Jonathan Joseph now upgraded to probable. Talk a little bit of the points here that we're going to take a look at tomorrow in the first game, Teddy, of the wild card between the Colts and the Texans.
Boy, this sure feels like the type of game that somebody's going to win by a field goal. You know what I mean? The first meeting, very tight. The second meeting, very tight. And I watched both of those games. I thought the Colts were the better team in both meetings. That being said, I don't know that certainly the Texans in the second meeting didn't play their A game. It was a flat spot, and they didn't play well. This time, I'm not expecting any type of flat spot for Houston. You say, who do you want? You want Deshaun Watson? Or you want Andrew Luck? All right, well, Luck only took 18 sacks all year. Watson took 62. Amazing. So the offensive line in front of Indy is better than the offensive line in front of Houston. Flat out, no question about it. But it's that Texans pass rush that they've wreaked havoc all over the league this year. Fascinating game. I'm not betting it. Are you?
I don't have anything wagered on this game. I was leaning toward Indianapolis all week in this game. But sometimes, Ted, I'm a big fan of home field advantage in the playoffs. Now, it doesn't always hold up, and one would think that, there are road teams that are going to get victories in the playoffs because the games we're going to look at here, this is the lowest number, -1. But even in the other ones, Teddy, both of them hovering under a field goal or around a field goal outside of that Chicago Bears game. If we take a look at some of the intangibles in this game, I'm a big fan of Frank Reich, and I'm not a big fan of Bill O'Brien. The one thing I do like is Deshaun Watson has the ability to make plays with his feet, but you're right, 62 sacks. Correct me if I'm wrong, Teddy. I mean, we're talking about collapsed lungs early in the year, recovering from the knee injury last year. Having said that, he looks like a darn good quarterback, and I'm not so sure if that Indianapolis pass rush is going to give him enough to overcome the offensive line for the Texans, not as good to me as the Indianapolis Colts. So I think the key game is going to come down to, can that Colts defense get pressure on Deshaun Watson enough to make him squirm in the pocket? Do you think that's the case here, Teddy?
Well, if let's put it this way, if I'm gonna play this game, I'm probably more likely to
Yeah.
bet the total than I am the side. With totals down to 48, 48 and a half has been bet down a little bit. And 48 is a key number when it comes to total. So don't underestimate how much that half point can mean. But I want my money on Luck and I want my money on Watson. Bet on QB in the postseason. And I know that Luck has the postseason experience and Watson doesn't. But Watson's a special QB. We've seen that on more than one occasion this season and last year before he got hurt. I'm putting him in a different category than I am the Mitch Trubisky's or the Lamar Jacksons of the world, guys that don't have that same level of perhaps big game experience that Watson has. So I'm leaning over if I'm going to get involved. I think both of these offenses are capable of lighting up the scoreboard.
Yeah, Texans not getting a break this year. Seems like every year, at least to me, that they would play Cincinnati and the Marvin Lewis squad coming down to town. Not the case this one. Hot team coming in with Reich, so we'll have some fun with that football game. Prime time, Teddy. Prime time Saturday night here, Seattle versus Dallas. -2 currently across the board at different outlets. 43 is an over-under. Moneyline sitting at about +110, -130. If we look at this football game, to me, it's going to come down to the more physical football team that's going to win this game. You would think both teams want to crank up the running games and say, you make the first mistake first. It's going to come down to the quarterback play, who's going to handle the pressure the best. But, Teddy, to me, I think the decided advantage in this football game, for me, love the fact that Zeke got a week off. Love the fact that the key components on that offensive line for the Dallas Cowboys got some rest last week. And I can't toss it out there. Dallas is a pretty good home team, Teddy.
This year, they've been a good home team. 7-1
Yes.
straight up, 5-2-1 against the number. However, when you look at the career of Jason Garrett, you say, what's his record as a home favorite? He's below 35% long-term as home chalk. So, but that long-term track record has worked in the Cowboys' backers' favor this year because no one wanted to lay points with Dallas. And like we just said, 7-1 straight up, 5-2-1 ATS at home this year. There's two elements to consider in this ballgame, two key elements for me. First, Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson versus Jason Garrett and Dak Prescott. There's no comparison. Carroll, 6-0. Carroll and Wilson combined, 6-0 straight up, 5-1 against the spread in these first round playoff games. The Cowboys, what are they, 2-9, their last 11? It hasn't been pretty in the postseason under Garrett. Russell Wilson, Super Bowl winner. Dak Prescott, with the exception of last week, and even last week he overthrew Cooper a couple of times. Prescott's not Russell Wilson yet, not even close. So you have the better coach and the better quarterback catching points. Always interested in that. All that being said, Cowboys home field is real, all right? And Dallas, as you mentioned, healthy, and they can run the football. Seattle's defense did not stop the run this year. Didn't happen at any stage. Seahawks, much weaker schedule than the Cowboys. The strength of schedule disparity points towards Dallas. They faced the tougher slate. And in a game where the straight-up winner likely to cover the point spread, when I grade out the personnel, I think Dallas is the better of these two teams. So you can make a legit case for Seattle. You make a legit case for Dallas. In my opinion, I'm not betting against the team that I consider to be the better squad overall. That's the Cowboys, even with that coach/QB disadvantage.
I would agree. And also that home field advantage that you get from Seattle. I mean, if you've ever played sports or been in that type of environment, especially in football, when you're snapping the ball and the play clock's running down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you can't hear the signals. It's that loud. You lose that advantage on the road. So you lose that extra step that you get off the defensive line. We'll see how that plays into it. But an intriguing game nonetheless. Let's move on to the Sunday card, Teddy. Los Angeles Chargers going to invade Baltimore here. If we saw just a couple weeks back, very impressive display by those Baltimore Ravens on a short work week, flying out west, taking care of the Chargers in a must-win game for the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, we're in the playoffs, so this also will be a must-win game as well. Current line opened up at -3, 41.5. Money line, Teddy, +125, -145 split. Lamar Jackson seemingly answering the bell week after week after week, throwing for 120, 130, 140 yards. Battle-tested Phillip Rivers coming to town on Saturday. What can we anticipate from this game, Teddy?
Yeah, it's a really fascinating contest because it is that short turnaround second meeting against Lamar Jackson. And we remember, Lamar Jackson won the Heisman Trophy as a sophomore. At the time, it was the youngest Heisman winner of all time. He went back to Louisville for his junior year, and his stats weren't as good. Why? Teams had seen him once before. They had, his stats were still good. Louisville was still good. They weren't unbeatable the way they were, or when the year that Jackson won the Heisman. His numbers were down. Teams had seen him. So here's the Chargers. And a couple of weeks ago, look, it was a major flat spot. They were coming off that big win at KC. They did not play well. Penalties, turnovers. They turned the ball over in the first play of the game. Philip Rivers were talking about it afterwards. Like, we're a lot better offensively than the team you saw today. And he also mentioned after the game, we might get a chance to face him in a couple of weeks, which is, by the way, this week. So you have a defense that's seen Lamar Jackson before. Lamar Jackson has not faced an adverse situation yet. He hasn't had to rally his team from behind. We haven't seen him have to carry the offense with his passing game. And we have Philip Rivers, playoff veteran, proven performer in January, against a guy who's never played a playoff game before. I can only look at LA plus the points. I understand Baltimore's defense. I understand they beat him a couple of weeks ago. That was then. This is now. It's not like a team has never in the history of the NFL lost a game at home and then faced their same opponent on the road a couple of weeks later and beaten them up. Happens all the time in divisional matchups. I think the Chargers, very live, even with John Harbaugh's 6-0 straight up, 6-0 ATS mark in the opening round of the postseason. Well, many of those are road games. This one, I think the Ravens are going to be tested in a way they're not going to be able to handle. Chargers or pass for this better.
How about this, Teddy? Chargers 7-1 on the road, both straight up and against the spread. Always an interesting number to take a look at, but I always joke about, they really had 16 away games the way they're treated in Carson, where most of the time the road team getting equal support, if not more support than the home team. Sunday, the final game of Wild Card Weekend, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Chicago Bears meet up at Soldier Field, -6.5 now showing up on the board here, Teddy. So some movement in that game as well. 41, some decent weather expected for Chicago in January, somewhere around a 40-degree temperature, about 10 miles an hour wind. Money line plus 220, -260 splits here. Key injury information, Teddy, heading into this game. Wide receivers getting a little bit healthier there for the Chicago Bears. Taylor Gabriel, Allen Robinson, and Anthony Miller, all probable to head into this football game. They're my Eagles. I want them to win. I look at that Bears home schedule that they have played this year and have been absolutely dominant, but the Philadelphia Eagles haven't been that big of a road team, pretty much hanging in just about every game outside of that shellacking by the New Orleans Saints. Bears, Eagles, Teddy, 4 o'clock Sunday. Talk about it.
It's hard for me to get that Saints game out of my mind. That was a game that was over in the first quarter, and you don't see a lot of NFL games with a playoff team that is over in the first quarter, but it does, can and does happen on occasion. That being said, Mitch Trubisky as a favorite, and I mean, he has Gabriel healthy, he has Robinson healthy, he has Miller healthy. 3 big questions for this week. But with those 3 guys healthy, Trubisky's got a fighting chance. The strength of the Eagles defense, as you know, is their defensive front. And you have a weak quarterback facing a strong defensive front. He's better be able to get the ball out quickly. Having a healthy receiving core, a big difference maker for Chicago. That's why the money is coming in on the Bears. Now, you say Philly was last year's team, Chicago's this year's team. There's some truth to that. There's also some truth to the fact that Nick Foles, Doug Peterson, a pretty good postseason track record. Mr. Trubisky and Matt Nagy, not so much. And, of course, the team with the track record catching points in this one. I'm not laying with the Bears. I'll put it that way. I do not trust Chicago on the level where I want to lay a touchdown with them with an offense that is a little bit balky at times and an Eagles pass rush that has been downright dominant at times this season.
I'll go with the Eagles +6. If you're going to give me 6.5 in this football game, I'll lean on that because I can see a lower scoring battle there, and I think the Philadelphia Eagles will be in it all the way through. The tough part's going to be is what's Mr. Trubisky going to bring to the table today? Rookie, so to say, in the playoffs. Teddy, quick segment here off the mic before we get out of here on this Fast Football Friday. Playoff implications here. Is Jason Garrett safe with a Cowboys loss in the first round? For some reason, we always joke about Jason Garrett as pictures, and, Jerry Jones can always make that phone call down to the sideline and dial up any play he wants, and Jason Garrett says, absolutely, boss. I think he's safe even with a loss. Teddy, how about you?
I'm with you 100%. And the biggest reason why is because there's no other coaches out there. You fire Jason Garrett, who do you got? I'll give you a hint. There's eight other teams that have already started their search ahead of you. And not that Dallas is a bad job, but those 8 other teams They're fighting over the same tired retreads, man. Of course, Garrett's job is safe. Yes, he does have pictures of Jerry Jones somewhere. No, I don't believe that really. But even with a loss, even with a 48-0 loss, I think Jason Garrett returns to the Dallas Cowboys in 2019.
Yep, strong personalities, Teddy, need not apply. Bill Parcells, Jimmy Johnson, both ran out of town. The yes men more likely to get those jobs. Jason Garrett fits that perfectly for me. Last bit here, real quick, Teddy. Players to watch for Wild Card Weekend. If I'm going to pick one player that I think needs to shine this weekend for his team to win, or at least outplay the other quarterback, Teddy, for me, it's Dak Prescott going against Russell Wilson, a dominant primetime quarterback. Been there, done that, played at the highest level, has won Super Bowls. Dak Prescott, to me, has to outplay Russell Wilson in order to beat the Seattle Seahawks. That's my player to watch. Any players to watch for you in this Wild Card Weekend, Teddy?
Well, I got a bunch, but there's two that I'm going to talk. And I know I'm supposed to do one, but I'm going to go two because I have to.
Go.
Hunter Henry, who's been out all year for the Chargers, their Pro Bowl level tight end. He's playing this week at Baltimore. Chargers are going to win this game. Hunter Henry's going to be a factor in that contest. He's someone to absolutely keep your eye on. And for the Eagles, if they're going to do something, it's got to be Sproles. Sproles has got to make plays for Philadelphia for them to be in that game and to win that game. He's the playmaker out of the backfield. He's the third down back. And you know how many big plays he's had on special teams. Darren Sproles, Hunter Henry, two guys I've got my eye on if their teams are going to compete and or win this weekend.
Teddy, it should be illegal to get this much information packed into 20 minutes on the show, but that's what we do here on the Betting Show on a Football Friday here at the SportsbookReview.com networks here. He's Teddy. I'm Donnie. We'll catch up back with you on Monday for all the fallout of Wild Card Weekend. What a time it is. That Betting Show. Have a good weekend, folks. We'll catch you again on Monday.